Oi lads, welcome back to our channel. Today we have some interesting title. I don't know how to say it, but probably Thymesia. Thymesia. Doesn't matter. Let's say the T title. So since the first day, the T title from developer Overborder Studio has been playing with the fire, both visually and playfully. The action role-playing game is reminiscent of From Software Bloodborne. The expectations of some fans were correspondingly high, but can a small indie studio really follow in the footsteps on one of the most popular games of the last decade? Or will the association with the genre giant be fatal for the new development studio? Let's take a look on that. So the protagonist Corvus suffers from a typical protagonist disease, completely memory loss. When the game begins, all he knows is what he is in the kingdom of Hermes, on the edge of the abyss. A plague kills hundreds and thousands and turns the survivors into bloodthirsty monsters. After all is a cure. Too bad Corvus is the alchemist who discovered him just before he lost his memory. In the game, you can task Corvus is to travel back through his memory, piecing by piece together how he traced the origin of the plague and ultimately recreate the cure. But first, you have to face all sorts of nasty rubble and retrace your own steps, which lead you from the musky slums of the city to the once pompous cathedral districts. As an alchemist, you have a few tricks ready to sound out for your opponents. You inflict wounds on your opponents with the quick swings of the sword, but the plague ensures that the cuts of your sword heal quickly. Bigger projectiles are needed. With a heavy and slow claw hand attack, you ensure that enemies are not regional lost health. Once they all good, you can knock them out with a well-animated punch and make sure they don't come back. Or you can shake your claw and drain the opponent's essence. It not only kills him, but also gives you a magical copy of his weapon, although you can only use the combat tools you have collected in this way for a single attack. The powerful plague weapons can save your life in many situations. In later course of the game, you will also receive fragments of those plague weapons with which you can permanently unlock and even upgrade them. Many of the combat devices get additional properties and attacks when you upgrade them. For example, you can spear first, but later swing the spear in the circle by pressing the button twice to push back enemies around you. So yeah, even if Love Quard and Bloodborne were inspirational in terms, look, especially the story, the combat system actually resembles more action-packed, like the Devil May Cry or Bayonetta. You don't have to worry about the stamina bar, and you often jump from enemy to enemy with lightning speed to move them down as efficiently as possible, especially in boss fights. The measure rewards a very aggressive approach. You can interrupt almost any opponent in their attacks until the invisible counter bar is filled. At some point they interrupt your attack and follow up with often devastating counter attack. Here it is important to keep cool head and entire party or dodge at lightning speed in order not to lose the momentum. In fact, the boss fights are highly not only in this game but in entire game. Every boss fight is danced with an opponent who doesn't have superior by humanity but who plays by the same rules as you. It's about reading upcoming attacks and keeping up pressure yourself without being cornered. The already excellent combat system gains deep as you gain talent points as you level up to increase the Corvus Raptor. All base attacks and abilities can be empowered in own way. Want to trade the slow claw attack for a quick combo that even heals you on hit, or do you stick with the slow attack but deal all more damage and you can find follow and wage people thanks to the long range? Every choice you make is in talent tree changes the way you play. At the beginning of the test, we mainly focused on dodging and increasing a talent that allows a longer lunge after the first dodge, but the first boss was able to catch up with us in a flash and constant dodging left no time to attack. Fortunately, the game allows you to redisable avoided talent points at any time. This allowed us to use the points to make parrying easier, even if it's losing most of the damage parrying does. But thanks to a larger window to parry, we are able to deflect the lightning fast punches of the boss and strike ourselves. The flexibility is in combat system and in the talents helps a lot to compensate for the typically high level of difficulty, even if Thymesia, the T title, is the most part not to crisp one of the used from Software Dark Souls series. So your trip through the kingdom of Hermes doesn't take place in a large open world, but it's divided into classic levels that mostly work linearly. When our shortcuts are hidden objects where you can find off the path is limited, often you will find text such as letters or orders to the soldiers that reveal a little more background. However, Thymesia completely dispense with the direct telling of a story. This is one of the points we are noticed to read the small budget of the indie title. Cutscenes are rare and dialogues are not voiced, which seems a bit strange, especially when the bosses make thorny remarks during the battles. The story about alchemy and blood transform sounds like a blood blown in the end. However, it unfolds into an existing final in which we are not only have to retrieve everything we have learned in a playful way, but can also put our knowledge of the lore and story of the game to the test. Only those who decode certain clues and link the events will automatically be able to produce the right remedy. The trailers mentioned as the beginning showed a game that, while by no means ugly, lacked visual variety. Lucky it turns that one of the trailers showed almost only the first level and is quite a bit of variety both visually and in terms of gameplay. You visit an infected circus, climb over the castle walls and venture deep into the forbidden laboratories. Your only variety of opponents can be a little better. This is probably also due to the budget. Technically too, Thymesia has more cutbacks in the places. Some levels aren't particularly detailed, and while the mandatory gain missions for accession, the side missions often sends us through the same areas again, only with different enemies and slightly different layout. However, since these side tasks often lead to more spectacular boss fights, we gladly forgive that. Graphically, Thymesia is certainly not one of the best PTS game despite the current gen port, but it runs smoothly and with few expectations, had no bugs in test. Thymesia will disappoint all those who hope for new Bloodborne, despite clear inspiration in the setting story. The title sets itself apart from the current game trends and starts on its own 2 feet. The resolution game is ready without a doubt one of the best action role-playing games of the year, putting Overboard Studios in the spotlight. The only really painful point is after 15 to 20 hours it literally ends and we have to wait for Thymesia 2 in anticipation to experience more of this outstanding gameplay. Thank you. Bye.